former director of the National Economic Council, and we begin on our top story. Larry, good to see you this morning. First of all, getting to the middle, is that just a fantasy? Where should Democrats, Republicans, where should the president trying to get to at this point? Where should they be trying to be getting to?
Well, look, Michael Goodwin is a friend of mine, and he's a very smart guy. And it would be lovely if we had a more moderate bill. In fact, I'm not really sure why we need stimulus, because the CBO is saying 2021 is a big growth year. And the IMF is saying it's going to be even stronger in the U.S., and I think we've got a V-shaped recovery. We haven't spent the earlier so-called stimulus or assistance, and things like minimum wage increases are job and prosperity killers, if you ask me. So is killing the fossil fuel industry, and so is open borders, which is going to be a job killer along the border. So the logic here is completely wrong. One last point on this. There's a turning point here with respect to COVID, which, of course, is the biggest driver. We've got to get the economy and the schools completely open, okay? That's not coming from stimulus. Now, there are 26 million total COVID cases so far. Guess what? We have now over 33 million vaccinations, 1.5 million per day. So the vaxes are beating the cases. The cases, by the way, are hooking down. These are all very positive signs for the economy. I would give money out, if you want, to help the COVID process, to help solve the cases, to help solve the vaccination distribution. That's fine. I don't know why we need the rest of that package. The GOP moderates have a decent idea. The Democrats are not going to buy it. They're going to run through. It's being pulled to the left. You know, National Review editor Rich Lowry, my pal, says the most leftist presidency so far after 2 weeks. We'll see. He may well be right. So I don't expect any miracles here. They're going to drive through their agenda. And by the way, that agenda is going to be counterproductive. It will be counterproductive for the economy in the longer term.
Wow, I wrote that down. I didn't think it would be a miracle that it would take when President Biden, before he became president, said that he could do this bipartisan. And you see a push from Senator Joe Manchin. Just real quickly before I move on, how much power does Joe Manchin have in all of this? Democrat.
Well, Joe's got, Senator Manchin's got a lot. He's got a lot of potential influence. So does Senator Sinema from Arizona. But I just think I'm not optimistic about this. I think, the Democrats might lower the threshold for individual assistance, get it back down to $40,000 or something like that. But the thrust of that package is probably going to go through. I am concerned, though, Harris. Let me just throw this in before we move on. There's a lot of talk, Elizabeth Warren and others, about pushing for higher taxes now. That's very counterproductive.
Yeah, and you mentioned, by the way, of Arizona Senator Sinema. I remember before she was a senator, she was known as a congresswoman for going with President Trump about 60% of the time on what he supported. You mentioned Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren. I'm so glad you did, because that's where we want to go now. Renewing her push for a wealth tax, Larry. And she plans to introduce legislation slapping a 2% tax on Americans with assets valued over $50 million, with the tax rate rising for higher asset levels. What does that do to the overall economy?
It's a job killer. It's a prosperity killer. Look, the left has always said, tax cuts for the rich don't pay their fair share. Yes, they do. The rich, so-called, however you measure that, the top 1%, they pay about 40% of the income taxes, okay? People in the middle, once you get down to $50,000, $60,000, those folks don't hardly pay any income taxes. The Trump plan lowered business taxes and individual taxes, lowered them, and guess what? Incomes went up for the middle. Incomes went up for the lower rungs. The geese that lay the golden eggs are the folks who are investment, right? They are the best friends of the middle-class worker. They are the ones who start the investment, which generates the productivity and the new technology and the new generation tools and equipment. That, in turn, raises productivity. That, in turn, raises real wages for families, which is exactly what happened in the prior 4 years before pandemic. Why unravel that? It's just, it's a religion. It's a left-wing theory. It has no basis in fact whatsoever. Don't go there now. This is a terrible idea.
Larry Kudlow, I could listen to you literally all day because you bring two things together. You bring positivity and facts together. Even if the facts are tough, you've got a positive plan to go forward. I wish you could just shout it from the rooftops, but we're going to use the Faulkner focus to put it in focus today. I got to let you go. I'll bring you back, I promise.
All right. If I got a sec, we should persuade. The unity should be in calm persuasion with facts, not name-calling.
Like
and both sides need to get rid of the extremists who are violent-prone. That would be unity. So let's grow the economy. Let's help the American worker. Let's help the American school kids. This should not be that hard, but I fear it may be.
You said
Thank you, Harris.
calm persuasion plus facts.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry. Good to see you.